Do you remember clear back to about 3 weeks ago now when we were shown the sophisticated computer modeling that told us of how millions were about to die unless we annihilated the world's economy and life as we know it, or I should say, knew it? Yet now, all these 21 days later, we're told that of course the sophisticated models were wrong. Everybody knows that models are always wrong and not meant for anything but the most general of approximations, and how could the world have taken any of that seriously anyway? The important thing, of course, was to horrify absolutely senseless the preponderance of people so that the preponderating number of people would not just give up their freedoms, but give them up enthusiastically, practically falling all over one another fast enough to give them up at all costs to the omniscient state. Consider also that in less than 1 month's time, government has successfully strangulated the entire world economy. In less than 1 month, over 17 million Americans have lost their jobs, and of the 30 million small businesses that existed in America alone, millions of them have been blasted into smithereens. In less than a month, domestic abuse rates and suicide rates have risen alongside snitch or narc culture, so called, with government apps and websites set up for the sole purpose of tattling on your neighbors for any arbitrary reason you want, provided you deem your neighbors to be in some way non compliant with one of the fatuous governmental mandates hammered down into place overnight. Meanwhile, governors, county commissioners, mayors, and more are all licking their jowly chops over these newly granted powers with which they've been enthusiastically endowed, threatening and in some cases breaking up private gatherings, imposing steep fines upon people walking alone or driving alone, people who have committed the unthinkable crime of wanting to get out of the house. In an era of the most pressing first world problems, like not enough gluten free options in restaurants, an era of safe spaces and coddling, and the putative right to not be offended, one wonders in such an era why these millions are suddenly so deafeningly silent. Why are these millions defending this unequivocal act of authoritarianism? And why so much outrage at people like me for defending your and my absolute and inalienable sanctity as individuals, individuals who possess rights that are inviolate? Let us recall that it was only recently that many thousands of individuals descended upon Washington, D.C. at their own expense to protest the appointment of a Supreme Court justice. Yet today, these same many thousands while away their days alone in apartments, unpaid, forced into idleness and descending into impoverishment, not only uncomplainingly, but with complete compliance, all the while receiving full reinforcement and total justification by the thousands of daily articles from mainstream outlets explaining to us all why the government is right to exert this level of authoritarianism. Because voluntary consensual action must be forbidden in this time of sickness, and you should be so bloody scared that you can imagine no other way. No other way that a society of thinking, autonomous individuals with free agency could overcome the threat of COVID-19. That it took only the suggestion of the possibility of sickness with an approximately estimated 1% lethality to render a nation once characterized by individual autonomy, freedom, innovation, creativity, industriousness, and industry into housebound conformists. It completely confirms what some non-conforming commentators have suggested, that this is the most mind-spinning consolidation in the shortest span of time of millions willingly acquiescing individual liberty to full power that you will ever see played out in real time. And I agree. If there's one thing above all to observe about this entire experience, let it be this. Observe how rapidly, how compliantly people were willing to relinquish their freedoms without so much as a peep, let alone a fight. Observe how the panic and fear-mongering alone, in the absence of hard, precise, proven data, was enough to bring billions to their knees. It is one thing to be beaten by a faster, stronger opponent. To be beaten by such a clumsy and obvious propaganda machine is unthinkable. It's been said that most people don't want freedom, they want comfort. My reply to that is this: voluntary action, individual rights, and freedom are and always will be paramount and timeless.